vote against the war on Libya?
It's a very good question. The argument that was put by the government and supported by the opposition was that we were there to protect the Libyan people from Gaddafi, who was going to go around and attack those who opposed him. And this war was to protect the Libyan people from Gaddafi by massive bombing of Gaddafi's sites and his installations, and that was the way it was done. But of course it was in fact an intervention in a civil war, and never forget that Libya represents a very important source of oil, and therefore this is another European intervention in Africa of a kind that is characterized imperialism over many years. I mean, for example, Egypt was occupied by Britain from 1984 to 1955. The French occupied Syria. The French occupied Tunisia and Algeria. And the Italians under Mussolini occupied Abyssinia. And the way this war is seen in Africa and in the third world countries is as an imperialist war. And that's why two people voted against it in Parliament. But now we have to alert people to what is really going on. And I think as the war develops, people will see more clearly what's happened, and we shall see the need to bring the Libyan war to an end. Right, any more questions?
Anybody? There's a mic down at the front if somebody'd like to come and use it for a question. Anybody want to ask a question? Yes.
Yes, hello Tony. Libyan issue is not decreased until to become like Gaddafi size. Why Gaddafi never took a side and Libya kept safe?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Why Gaddafi never took a side, left office, and Libya kept safe from NATO attack?
Well, Gaddafi conquered Libya. That's how he came to power, and for him it's just a question of strength. And if the people of Libya can't get rid of him, he will carry on. And I think, I heard the other day a funny thing, that Gaddafi had made inquiries as to whether he could remain as a titular head of state. And he said, what do you mean by that? And she said, like the Queen of England. So he will make every effort to remain. But I think the Gaddafi period is coming to an end. And then the people of Libya will have to work out what they want to succeed.
Yeah. Can you come forward to the mic here? There's a mic at the front.
You've got better hearing.
I find it a little confusing that this is moving demonstration by the Syrian activists here just outside the tent against Assad for a new Syria. So what kind of intervention would you support concerning Syria, given that you're opposed to any military intervention?
Well, the question really of what to do about Syria or what to do about Bahrain or any other country is a central foreign policy question. And my opinion is that every country has to work out its own future, and that war makes the situation much more difficult. And you can give support to people, you can give them money, and you can give them political support, but I don't believe that war is the answer, where you have a situation as in Syria or in Bahrain. I think it just has to be left to the people themselves to work out their own future. Any more?
Yes. Do you want to come to the mic at the front? You may not be heard. say what I think you've said, and then it was wrong. Did you say, would there a dose of socialism in the opposition help the situation? Would a dose of socialism in, I assume, the Labour opposition?
Well, there are in the Labour Party is a very broad coalition, but there are quite a number of socialists in the Labour Party. Jeremy Corbyn, who's speaking today, is a socialist. John McDonnell is a socialist. And the socialist influence in the Labour Party is a very important influence, and we want to encourage it. But whether you'll ever have a party of pure socialists with nobody else, I doubt. I think these things have to be done by a process of persuasion and circumstances and so on. And that's what I believe in, and that's why I'm still a member of the Labour Party.
And the one down there. These are questions to take.
Question.
Thank you.
Saddam was a dictator. When he left, the Americans came and killed the people. Gaddafi was a dictator. The NATO came and occupied the country. Don't you think if Bashar in Syria goes, the Americans come and occupy the country and make Israel even stronger?
Well, I think the question is, will the Americans go into Syria and take over when the Syrian government falls? And it wouldn't surprise me if they did. But there are limits even to the American capacity to fight wars, so maybe the Americans would stand back a little bit and just encourage leaders to come to Syria who they believe will do what they tell them to do. There are limits. No imperial power has got unlimited military power, and that's a good thing from our point of view.
Can I ask a question, Tony? And it follows on from what you've just said. We know that, for example, right the way through Europe and North America, there is now a major financial crisis, a financial and economic crisis which is affecting every single state. And it's one where, in fact, the question of public expenditure, whether it's on services like education or health, or on weapons, is actually going to be one that's going to be much more constrained in the future. Do you think that this is going to affect the foreign policy of Obama and whichever president follows on?
Well, that's a very good question, because you see, in the 1930s we had mass unemployment, and the unemployment was solved by the war. The money was poured into weapons and to armies, and it gave everyone full employment. And then the question was, how do you maintain full employment after the war? And it was because we saw that we built up the National Health Service, built 400,000 houses a year, and built up the public services. But in the present situation, we are now faced with the need to make major cuts, and we're using the savings from those cuts to make major wars, and that is absolutely wrong. And I think that is an argument people will understand.
We've got time for one last question. Somebody right at the back. You'll have to shout very loudly.
I was going to give you a distinction between the kind of intervention that's had in Afghanistan and Iraq, where these destabilised state governments between Libya and basically on one side of that, but not kind of destabilise the situation.
The question was, would you make a differentiate between an intervention like, for example, in Afghanistan or Iraq, which the questioner said was intervening into stable states, compared with Libya, where there was a civil war already taking place?
Well, I think the danger of the argument about a civil war entitling you to send in troops is the old imperial argument, because when Britain was an empire itself, we occupied the rest of the world. We occupied India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Canada. We even occupied America. They were British colonies, the American colonies, and that was an extension of our military power, and we did it because we thought it would be an advantage to Britain if we controlled the rest of the world. And now we have no longer the strength to do that, and we are gradually withdrawing. But the memory of Western intervention is one that is very bad for our reputation in the rest of the world, because in Africa and the Middle East they say when British and American troops come in, they're just going back to the old idea of we will use this crisis to increase our power. And actually, we've got the United Nations, and we have to make the United Nations the instrument for international action, not nations with large military forces.